This is the 66th episode of the Effective Executive podcast and YouTube channel. And this week, of course, it's been all over social media, the news to some degree about the Better.com CEO and the blunder he made brutally firing 900 employees on a Zoom call. And I don't want to pile on, so I'm not adding the video or anything like that to it. But I think probably ought to discuss it. I mean, from a standpoint of the CEO, Vishal Garg, I believe he's on leave now, which is probably not a bad idea. He did his best Jack Welch in impression, and Jack was famous for cutting the bottom 10% of his organization. And this type of thing really doesn't play in society anymore. The fallout is really huge. And let me explain why. I mean, it ranges from the socialists and the Marxists, say this is what capitalism brings you. It's awful, it's insensitive, and this is what you get when you're in pursuit of profit and things of that sort. To increasing the size of the great resignation that we have going on now. People see this and go, why would I want to work for a company that treats you like this? All large companies are like this. And people get that impression. And we are in great need in the US, especially, of large organizations of people that can cooperate together to achieve a great, big things for a common purpose. And we're getting not very good at it. We weren't good at it before. And so, manufacturing is eventually going to come back here. That's a whole different discussion. But we're going to need cooperation amongst people in this country. Like I said, this leaves a bad taste. This hurts all organizations, a real unforced error. And it hurts all companies because, like I said, employees or potential employees are going to look at this and go, no, thank you. And I already see on YouTube a whole bunch of people coming out and basically saying, this is why, companies are after their own profit. This is why you've got to do your own thing. You got to have your own side hustle and all these types of things, is because you see how companies treat you. And it's really bad for, organizations that are growing, because even if you start out as an individual, I mean, you may grow your company and ultimately run into a situation like just happened with the Better.com CEO. So how do you avoid this as a CEO? And the first thing I'm going to say is you're going to need to get outside counsel. You need a coach. And it's not just because I'm an advisor to businesses, but, one of the biggest things that you find is, you say, oh, I've got a good network of people within my company. But you know what? When you're the CEO of an organization, most people are going to do whatever it is that you say you're going to do. And it varies with your personality, but also the power that you have within the organization to, fire and, give raises and, things of that sort. So you're not going to get honest feedback. You need somehow to get honest feedback about the plans that you have, and someone that you can use as a counsel. Not HR, that nice people typically, but again, they work for you. So you need to go someplace where you can get honest feedback. And to me, that's outside counsel or advisors. Now, I know many of you won't go out or get a coach or an advisor for your organization. So let me give you some things to think about that you might want to do instead of what this CEO did. And use it as a guideline. And this is what I do with almost all the people that I'm an advisor for. And that is, I don't tell you what to do, but I'm going to give you some different ways. I will give you honest feedback. I would have told this guy he's out of his gourd for thinking that this would be a good thing to do. But regardless, Um, and this is modified basically from, I believe it was Out of the Crisis, Dr. Deming, W. Edwards Deming, longtime follower of. But, the first thing that he suggests is to cut the dividend. And I've had many conversations with CEOs saying, that's virtually impossible these days to cut the dividend, even if they're losing money. But, some people just won't do it. The second thing is to cut the salaries and the bonuses of the executives. Now, think of the impact of this. If you're about ready to lay off 900 people, the the best thing you can do for everybody else that is there is take some of the pain, and you do that first. Look, we're under pressure. We got some problems, and I know about it in the Better.com case that he had 75 million coming in. But with 900 people that if they aren't producing, that's a burn rate of, $50,000 salary plus other things. It's going to be, $4.5 million to $5 million a month in burn rate against that. And so that 75 million that he just got will be gone, within a year. So, you have to do the math on some of this stuff. But the first thing you do is cut the salaries, or the second thing you do is cut the salaries and the bonuses of top management. That doesn't do it. Cut the middle management salaries. Then the fourth thing, then cut the salaries of the rank and file. So they're the last that should be affected by this. If you hired the wrong people into your system, that's your fault. That's not the people that you hired in. Everybody needs to be dealt with on an individual basis and not as a group. And say, oh, we're bringing in 900 people, or even if it's 10, even if it's 5. You deal with these types of things on an individual basis, and typically it's because of some type of performance issue, just not a good fit for the company. But you've got to get better at your onboarding and hiring processes in order to make sure you don't wind up with a bunch of that stuff. Then the fifth thing that you do is a reduction in workforce, and typically you can. You got open orders for positions that you can cancel, attrition, voluntary discharge. Where somebody's sitting there saying, I'm at retirement, or I'm okay with this. There are people that will do that within an organization, or early retirement is another option. And I think these are definitely better ways of going about it than what this gentleman did. But hopefully that gives you a couple things to think about with regards to something concrete to do as a CEO in an organization, or if you're an executive under a CEO who's thinking about this type of thing, maybe give them some other ideas other than doing a Zoom call to fire 900 people. But the threat is real. And so I'm going to leave you this movie clip to kind of think through. And, I've got to believe you're only hopeful that, the CEO of Better.com, didn't see the threat associated with taking the action that he did. And I'm not going to lament it, but here's the movie clip. I'll talk to you next week.
There was no file opened. We didn't find the information credible.
How about now?